Raider Nation, there's a new kind of energy buzzing around Las Vegas right now. And you can feel it from the second you look at that training facility. No, it's not just because the veterans are back. The rookies are suited up, or the first padded practice is right around the corner. It's because Pete Carroll, at 73 years old, just walked into the building and immediately set the tone for what he expects this team to be. And let me tell you right now, this isn't the same old Raiders vibe we've seen for the last 2 decades. There's a new identity forming here, and it's loud, intense, and unapologetically about winning. So today, we're diving headfirst into everything Coach Carroll said in his press conference right before training camp officially got underway, and believe me, there's a lot to unpack. Now look, I wanted to get this video out earlier yesterday, to be exact, but the Raiders went on a spree of roster moves. A flurry of transactions that basically took over the conversation for the day. That's why you might hear me reference today when I really meant yesterday and so on. But the content's still fresh, and honestly, it might be even more relevant now that the players have officially reported for camp. The vibes around camp feel different already. You've got the vets checking in, the rookies looking to prove they belong, and the coaching staff already buzzing with energy. But the guy who really stole the spotlight was Pete Carroll. The man came out swinging, not literally, of course, but with the kind of confidence and presence that makes you sit up and listen. And sure, the audio and video quality from the team's media department left a lot to be desired. Like, come on. We're talking about a billion-dollar franchise here. Is it too much to ask for a working mic and a decent camera? But even with the poor production value, Carroll's message came through loud and clear. He's got sky-high expectations, and he's not sugarcoating anything. He said it with his chest. This team is expected to win, and he's not afraid to hold everyone accountable to that standard. One of the first things he addressed was the situation with Christian Wilkins. There's been a lot of noise around Wilkins lately, especially after that video surfaced of him dancing around the Raiders facility in Crocs, no less. And while some people might see that as a red flag, Carroll took a totally different stance. He made it clear he doesn't know exactly when Wilkins will be back on the field. But the fact that he's in the building, smiling, moving around, and active in the facility, that's a great sign. Pete emphasized that the medical team is working with him closely, and once he passes his physical, he'll be ready to go. But here's the kicker: if Wilkins is still on the PUP list by 4 o'clock Eastern on August 26th, then he's automatically ruled out for the first 4 games of the regular season. And if he doesn't suit up for Week 5 against the Colts, he's out for the entire year. It's a real deadline, and one that the team and the fans will be watching closely. Then Carroll moved on to talk about Malcolm Koonce, and this part got me hyped. Koonce is a full go, which is amazing considering he tore his ACL last year. That injury could have easily derailed his development, but instead, it looks like he's coming back stronger. Carroll seemed genuinely excited about having him at full strength, and honestly, it's easy to see why. When Koonce is on, he's a game wrecker. If this defense is going to reach its potential, guys like him need to show up in a big way. Carroll mentioned how important it is for players like Koonce, Christian Wilkins, and Tyree Wilson to take that next step, especially given the fact that the secondary is still developing. With a dominant front, you give that back end a lot more room to grow. Speaking of defense, one thing that surprised me was what Carroll said, or rather, didn't say, about Charles Snowden. The linebacker has a court case for a DUI that dates back to December of last year, and I was honestly hoping someone in the media would bring it up during the presser. But no one asked, and Carroll didn't mention it. That silence might mean it's being handled privately, but it's something to keep an eye on as training camp progresses. Then Carroll dropped what might have been the most powerful part of the whole presser: his expectations. He didn't flinch. He said he expects this team to win 10 or more games, not hopes to, not wants to, expects. That's the kind of tone-setting statement that changes locker rooms, and sure, maybe 10 wins doesn't sound sky-high to some people, but for a team that finished among the bottom of the league last season, it's a big leap. Carroll didn't just talk about wins, though. He talked about culture, about how being a good teammate matters, about how leadership starts from the top, but is defined by the guys who show up early and stay late. He pointed to Max Crosby, saying if a guy like that, one of the highest paid players on the roster, is getting to the facility at 6 in the morning, everyone else should be doing the same. That kind of accountability, that kind of presence from your stars, that's how you build a real locker room. And Carroll didn't stop there. He talked about how being a good teammate means raising the level of everyone around you. That's the kind of message that sticks with players, especially the younger guys who are still learning what it means to be a pro. And let's talk about those younger guys for a second. Carroll made it crystal clear he plans to play them. He's not just putting rookies on the field because it's convenient or because the depth chart demands it. He's doing it because he believes in their talent, because he's seen what they can do. Players like Darian Porter, Eric Stokes, Jacorian Bennett, he name-dropped them all. And not by accident. He's got a track record of developing young talent, and it sounds like that philosophy is going to be alive and well in Vegas. He wants to build something that lasts, something with depth, something with identity. It's also worth noting how he talked about the future. He mentioned wanting to build this program with a college mindset, a 2 to 3 year window, modeled after the kind of culture he helped shape during the Michigan days alongside guys like Tom Brady and John Spytek. And it's no surprise that mentality is seeping into every part of the organization. You can see it in the way the team is evaluating talent, in the way they're encouraging leadership, in the way they're communicating with fans, which brings me to another standout moment from the presser, Carroll's openness. He said, point blank, he wants to be close to the fan base. He wants to hold open practices. He wants to make himself available, and that right there is a total departure from the last regime. Under McDaniels, it was like Fort Knox trying to get any info out of the building. It was that old Patriot way of silence and secrecy. But Carroll is bringing the opposite approach. He knows what Raider Nation means to this team. He respects the passion. He wants to connect, and in a sport that's often cold and corporate, that kind of warmth and accessibility, that matters a lot. He also touched on something that really resonated with me personally. He talked about how hard camp is going to be and how that's intentional. He said that for players to buy in, they've got to go through it. They've got to struggle together, grind together, suffer a little together. That's how bonds are formed. That's how trust is built. He made it clear that it doesn't matter how much money a guy makes, whether it's $50 million a year or the league minimum. If you're on this roster, you're expected to work. No shortcuts, no special treatment. You earn your spot every day. And let me tell you, that hit home, because for a lot of us out here watching, we're working 40, 50, sometimes 60 hours a week just to take care of our families. And we're not doing it for millions of dollars. We're doing it because that's what's expected. So when I see players holding out of camp, skipping practices, or sitting out without clear reasons, it doesn't sit right. I want guys who love the game, who want to compete. And that's exactly what Carroll's preaching. He also mentioned how being in football shape is completely different from just being in good shape. You can't fake conditioning. You can't cheat reps in training camp and expect to show up week 1 and ball out. That's when injuries happen. That's when you let your teammates down. Carroll knows that. He's been around long enough to see it all, so he's setting a tone early. We're going to work, and it's going to pay off on Sundays, picking up right where we left off. Let's dive deeper into what Pete Carroll said about the Raiders secondary, because, honestly, that part of the press conference was one of the most fascinating things he said all day. Carroll has a long history of coaching elite defensive backs, and when he talks about a group being the most athletic he's ever coached, you better believe that means something. Think about it, this is a guy who developed players like Richard Sherman, Earl Thomas, Kem Chancellor, guys who were dominant at the highest level. So when he puts the Raiders secondary in that conversation, it tells you just how much potential he sees in this group. He didn't just say they're athletic. He said they have a rare combination of speed, agility, and instincts that make them a threat in both coverage and run support. That's huge because the Raiders have struggled in the secondary for years, and this could be the year that changes. Pete was quick to mention that the defensive backs are young, and that's true. You've got a mix of rookies, second-year players, and a handful of veterans, but Carroll's message was clear. Youth isn't a weakness here. It's a strength. These guys have fresh legs, fresh minds, and a fresh attitude, and with the right coaching, they can become something special. He emphasized that they've got to be coached hard, challenged daily, and pushed to compete at an elite level. No hand-holding, no coddling. That's classic Carroll, and it fits perfectly with what Raider Nation wants to see. Hard work, accountability, and a hunger to win. Carroll didn't just talk about defense, though. He made it clear that the offense is just as important, and that this team will be balanced. He acknowledged the work the offense has put in so far and complimented the group's talent. But he also reminded everyone that it's a process. New coaches, new schemes, and new players always mean there's an adjustment period. The key, Carroll said, is consistency. Practice like you play, focus on the details, and don't get discouraged when mistakes happen. He's been there before. And he knows that the players who can absorb the lessons, stay mentally tough, and keep grinding will be the ones who shine come September. He also touched on the quarterback situation, which, as you know, has been a hot topic since the offseason. Big in. Carroll didn't give away any secrets, but he did say the team is excited about what they have. He praised the work ethic of all the QBs and said the competition will be fierce. That's exactly what you want to hear. The Raiders have had instability at the position for years. And to hear a coach as experienced as Carroll talk about competition and earning your spot, it's refreshing. He also said the coaches will make sure the quarterbacks get what they need to succeed. And that includes tailoring the offense to fit their strengths. No cookie-cutter approach here. Instead, the offense will be built around the players on the roster, maximizing their skills and giving them the best chance to succeed. When the conversation shifted to the offensive line, Carroll was honest. He said it's an area that needs work, and he's ready for the challenge. That's important because the O-line has been a weak link for the Raiders for a long time, and there's no quick fix. Carroll talked about how building a strong offensive line takes time and dedication, and that it starts with technique and toughness. He mentioned how the coaches are emphasizing fundamentals in camp and working on chemistry between the linemen, and while it's still early days, Carroll said he sees promise in some of the younger players and depth guys who are stepping up. If that group can gel, it'll open up the offense and give the skill players more room to make plays. Carroll also made a point to talk about leadership in the locker room. This was one of the biggest themes of the presser, and it's clear he's putting a premium on guys who lead by example. He specifically called out Max Crosby, but he also talked about other veterans who have stepped up. Carroll's belief is that leadership isn't just about talking in the locker room or giving speeches. It's about the little things, showing up early, holding teammates accountable, being the first to volunteer for extra work, and maintaining a positive attitude, especially when times get tough. That's the culture he wants to build. And from what we've seen so far, it's starting to take root. Another interesting point Carroll made was about how the team's culture will reflect the city of Las Vegas. He said he's been impressed by how the players have embraced the community and the fans. That's a big deal because the Raiders have always had a passionate fan base. But moving to Vegas meant building a new relationship with a city that's still learning what it means to be Raider Nation. Carroll wants the team to be a source of pride for Las Vegas, and he's encouraging players to get involved in local events and charities. That kind of connection matters when you're trying to build something lasting, and it's something fans should be excited about. Now, of course, no press conference is complete without some talk about injuries, and Carroll didn't shy away from it. He gave a few updates on some guys who are working through physical issues, but stressed that everyone is expected to be ready by the time the season starts. This includes some key players who were injured last year but are on track to contribute this season. He was optimistic but cautious, something we've come to expect from a coach with so much experience. You want to hear that your team is healthy, but you also want the honesty about the challenges that remain. One of the most telling moments of the press conference came when Carroll was asked about what makes the Raiders different from other teams he's coached. His answer was simple but profound: the hunger. He said the Raiders players have a fire inside them, a genuine desire to prove themselves and to win for the fans, the city, and the franchise. That hunger, combined with the hard work the coaches are demanding, could be the X factor that pushes this team over the edge. If the players buy in fully, this could be a season where the Raiders surprise a lot of people. Carroll also talked about how important it is for the coaching staff to build relationships with the players. He said it's not just about calling plays or running drills, it's about earning trust and respect. That takes time, but he's confident they're on the right track. You can hear that in the way he talks about his assistants and the young coaches on staff. There's a sense that this is a tight-knit group, working toward a common goal. And that vibe is contagious. When the coaches and players are on the same page, that's when the magic happens. Something else worth mentioning is Carroll's comments about discipline. He was clear that distractions, off-field issues, or a lack of focus won't be tolerated. The Raiders are building a team that holds itself to a higher standard. And that means every player must be committed not just physically, but mentally and emotionally. That kind of discipline can be the difference between a good team and a great one. And from everything Carroll said, it sounds like he expects his players to be ready to embrace that challenge. Before wrapping up the presser, Carroll gave a shout out to the fans. He thanked Raider Nation for their unwavering support and said the players feel that energy every day. He talked about how important it is for the team to make the fans proud and how much the players appreciate the noise, the passion, and the loyalty. That connection between team and city is something special in the NFL, and the Raiders are lucky to have one of the most passionate fan bases in the league. As the presser ended, you could sense that this is just the beginning of something new. In Vegas, Pete Carroll's approach is different from what the Raiders have seen in recent years. It's more about building culture, developing talent, and playing hard every single day. And if the players take that message to heart, we could be looking at a team that not only makes the playoffs but competes deep into January. That's the dream, and after hearing Carroll speak, it doesn't feel out of reach anymore. So what does all this mean for Raider Nation? It means there's real reason to be excited. It means the days of rebuilding and hoping might finally be over. It means the Raiders have a coach who knows how to win and is ready to push this team to new heights. And it means we're in for a season full of energy, hard work, and maybe some surprises along the way. Before we continue, don't forget to subscribe to our channel and give this video a like. Your support helps us keep bringing you the latest updates on our Las Vegas Raiders. And don't be shy, drop your thoughts on the news in the comments below. The NFL rumor mill is swirling once again, and this time all eyes are on Las Vegas. Whispers from sources close to the situation suggest that Jalen Milroe, the dynamic former Alabama quarterback, may have inked a 3-year deal with the Raiders. Though official confirmation remains elusive, could this be the move that shakes up the AFC West? While no official statement has been released by the franchise, several insiders claim the Silver and Black are betting big on Milroe's athleticism and upside. The former Crimson Tide signal caller turned heads during his time in college, showing flashes of brilliance with both his arm and legs. Now, it appears the Raiders are ready to roll the dice on that potential, possibly making him the centerpiece of their offensive rebuild. If the reports prove true, the decision signals a bold new direction for Las Vegas. The team has long been in search of a consistent quarterback presence, and Milroe could offer just that. His blend of speed, strength, and leadership could be a perfect fit under the desert lights. But is he ready to lead an NFL team so early in his career? Of course. Until an official announcement is made, this remains pure speculation. The Raiders have been notoriously tight-lipped in past off-seasons, and it wouldn't be the first time a potential signing was kept under wraps until the last moment. Still, social media is already buzzing, and fans are daring to dream. For now, Raider Nation will have to wait and see whether the rumors turn into reality, or whether this is just another flicker in the never-ending drama of the NFL offseason. Either way, the prospect of Jalen Milroe in Silver and Black is enough to stir up excitement, skepticism, and plenty of debate. Stay tuned. That's it for this update. If you enjoyed the video and want to stay updated with exclusive news about our Las Vegas Raiders, be sure to subscribe to our channel and hit that like button. We can't wait to hear your thoughts in the comments. See you in the next video.